Chiyuki Fujito has pursued her dream of becoming a top model. 8 years prior, her growth spurt suddenly stopped, which made her way below the 175cm mark necessary for models. Even so, she resolves not to give up. In class, she gets to know Ikuto Tsumura, where she inadvertently discovers his dream of becoming a fashion designer. After telling Ikuto of the impossibility of his dream, Chiyuka beats herself down for discouraging someone and tries another agency. While she is accepted, Chiyuki ultimately decides to renew her initial dream instead, approaching Ikuto to design clothes for her. Chiyuki once again declares her convictions in front of the judges, including top model Shizuku Naruoka, who catches a glimpse of Paris from her aura and appearance. Chiyuki is finally accepted, and she cries tears of joy over becoming a member of the agency that shares the same meaning as her name. On the street, Chiyuki has her photo taken, and a top model named Syria posts it online, earning instant fame. Ikuto is then let into the agency after Chiyuki further wishes to buy the design of her outfit. Chiyuki's father rescinded the offer to Ikuto after realizing that he is not professionally trained. Chiyuki later attempts to spur him to prove her wrong, just like how she did for the many others that discouraged her, only for it to backfire and he instead lashes out at her. Thankfully, they reconcile, and Ikuto makes a new outfit for himself to try again at Mile Neige. Chiyuki's father acknowledges Ikuto's potential, but instead of hiring him, he recommends Ikuto to the designing business of one of their old professional designers named Hajime Yanagida to get some experience first. Although Yanagida is crass and egoistic, Ikuto is inspired time and time again by Chiyuki to not leave the studio and continually improves his work. The next day is the beginning of Tokyo Fashion Week, and a crucial moment for Yanagida as a top designer, but his last model has to be replaced by Chiyuki instead after she was unable to make it. To make matters worse, Kumi Moriyama, his sole dressmaker, collapses from a nosebleed and exhaustion, prompting Ikuto to volunteer himself to alter the dress to fit Chiyuki's height. Ikuto blacks out from the pressure and the use of unfamiliar cloth and needles. As Chiyuki pulls him to encourage him again, he realizes that she too is afraid, but nevertheless is fighting for her own dream. With several minutes before Chiyuki has to go out, Ikuto uses unconventional methods to bring the dress together, receiving support from the other models to buy a little more time. The audience is set abuzz when seeing a short model on the runway. Chiyuki risks embarrassing herself further when she crouches down as the shoemaker had accidentally used a broken heel, but is saved by Ikuto purposefully not tying the last thread of her neckline. The thought of Ikuto changing her dress without her notice brings a little smile onto her face, although models are always taught never to fall or smile on the runway. Despite this, it earns Chiyuki a standing ovation, and she finishes perfectly, changing her gait to return backstage. As the fitter points out their flaws, the two resolve to improve and return here with their own brand. Yanagida acknowledges Ikuto's potential and decides to train him. After pulling an all-nighter at Yanagida, Hanoka, Ikuto Studio's oldest designer, mistakenly believes that he is working for the family's sake again. The guilt of having to rely on her brother giving up his dream to attain her own, coupled with her failing grades, causes her to lash out at him in anger. They reconcile when Ikuto assures her that he is chasing his own dream while getting paid for the family, the two promising to work hard together. As Yanagida secures a place in a department store for his brand, the high demand for dresses prompts him to find additional support from two members of the famous Gaika fashion school in Japan, To Ayano, the grandson of the top designer Mai Ayano and model cum designer freshman Kokudo Hasegawa. Because of the dress's unique material and fitting, Ikuto struggles with it while To performs it effortlessly, although the latter realizes Ikuto's great potential and talent amidst his imperfections from lack of skill and experience. At the end of the day, To asks Yanagida privately if he can have Ikuto for his own brand. As the trains are delayed, Kokudo and Ikuto waited out at a park bench, where Kokudo reveals that she originally wanted to become a model, but was inspired by Mai at her first fashion show to enroll at Gaika. Ikuto later attends a lecture at Gaika about the school's upcoming Gaika festival, and decides he's going to try for the grand prize, an opportunity to launch his own brand and study in Paris. Outside, he witnesses a confrontation between Kokudo and her manager Yu Ikarashi. When he arrives at Kokudo's house, a distraught Kokudo agrees with Ikarashi that she may not want to be a designer after all. Shoko Takauka mentioned Kokudo's desire to learn. Ikuto proposes they participate in the Gaika festival to prove Igarashi wrong. For the preliminaries, Ikuto has to design a stylish outfit that can fit Sierra within the hour, and sew it up for a model doll in 2 days. Consulting Chiyuki with help from Sierra, who conquered all odds and achieved fame despite her height being 171 centimeters, he eventually finds inspiration in Chiyuki's appearance. Chiyuki expresses her admiration for Ikuto and her friends. During the preliminaries, Ikuto presents an unconventional design of pajamas. Although To is impressed with Ikuto's improvement on the stitch work, he calls it lame. However, Ikuto picks himself back up when he recalls Chiyuki's approval of his work and submits it without editing anything. Takeoka reveals the true test was to believe in one's design. The judges then reveal the top 3 designs that will move straight to the finals, one of which is Ikuto's and the other being Kaoru Kizaki. To later bluntly tells Ikuto the true reason why his design received 3rd place, and offers him a job under his brand, which Ikuto accepts. Meanwhile, Chiyuki struggles to find magazines to accept her, eventually coming to Mode, Japan, after her performance at Yanagita's show had inspired a fashion editor named Fumio Nomura. However, Nomura is replaced by Akasaka instead, who only accepts Chiyuki after a model dropped out at the last minute. At the shoot, Chiyuki meets Kokodo and immediately becomes envious of her height and beauty. Chiyuki recalls how Shizuku taught her the most important thing in modeling, their aura. Despite being only a supporting model, she's determined to show off her good qualities amidst the other supporting models and Kokodo as the main. Chiyuki fights against putting down Kokodo when the latter has cuts on her hands, but fails when she overhears Kokodo telling Igarashi that she wants to quit modeling. Despite Chiyuki lashing out at her, Kokodo persists in her dream to design clothes instead of modeling. Igarashi recalls how she had cozied her way up as a former model, modeling alongside Shizuku, and was friends with Chiyuki's photographer, Miwako. Igarashi realizes that she had treated Chiyuki unfairly and persists with Kokodo becoming a model because of her own sense of inferiority she felt. Kokodo is once again conflicted with her choices when she makes a beginner's mistake at Yanagita, but she is let in after much begging and Ikuto defending her. Ikuto visits To's basement studio where To reveals his aspirations of wanting to surpass his grandmother. Following the meeting, Ikuto concludes that he wants to be a full-fledged designer instead of a pattern maker. The theme of the finals is revealed to be the Japanese character Wa, where anything associated with the character is allowed, and designers are allowed to use models from Gaika or have their own, with Ikuto planning to ask Chiyuki. However, he is alerted that his mother is in critical condition after repeatedly being in and out of the hospital. Ikuto later realizes that she was holding back her operation so he could have enough money for the Gaika festival. He is forced to choose between his family and his own dreams as To tries to use his pattern-making skills, which Igarashi tries to bribe him into influencing Kokodo to give up on her own designing aspirations. Ikuto finally snaps when he lashes out at his second youngest sister, Aoi. He then meets with Chiyuki's father, who is informed of Ikuto's financial situation. As such, he offers to buy the design Ikuto made for Chiyuki for 2 million yen, in exchange for him comforting his daughter for not receiving a single offer in Paris. A grateful Ikuto asks Chiyuki to star as a model for his collection at the Gaika festival, to which she accepts. Chiyuki tells Ikuto about her experiences with Kokodo, while he tells her his show's theme will be about wind. It is not until they arrive at Yanagita's do Chiyuki, Ikuto, and Kokodo realize that they all know one another. However, things change for everybody when Chiyuki and Ikuto witness another confrontation between Kokodo and Igarashi. Recalling how Ikuto placed his faith in Kokodo's hard work and real conviction to be a designer, Chiyuki decides to become a model for Kokodo's show. She then declares that she and Ikuto are officially rivals and resolve to do their best. Now without Chiyuki, Ikuto has to redo all of his designs. When Ikuto visits his mother at the hospital, she promises him that the entire family will go watch his show. At Gaika, Ikuto announces to To that he will prove him wrong and invites Ryunosuke Ida, Kaoru's childhood friend who specializes in men's clothing, to help him out with his new theme of harmony, Chowa, which is also To's theme, turning things into a head-on fight. Utilizing experience from Yanagita, Ryunosuke's help, and his own creativity, Ikuto heads to the Gaika festival. At the Gaika festival, Ikuto spots To, Chiyuki, and Kokodo as they head to the staging area after he fits Haruka Sudo with his design. Meanwhile, Ikuto's family, Igarashi, Shizuku, and Nomura, all observe the show from different areas of the audience. Backstage, Kaoru tells Ikuto that she will defeat him. She then reminisces about the moment she saw Ikuto as a rival during Yanagita's show. Elsewhere, Kokodo is fitting Chiyuki with her design, while To begins his preparation. When it is Ikuto's turn, his collection displays a harmonious vibe from all around the world. For the final design, a minimalistic outfit is showcased, which surprises almost everyone except Mai. As such, Ikuto receives a round of applause, while his mother cries tears of joy. Kokodo and Chiyuki are up next. Igarashi begrudgingly admits to Shizuku that Ikuto's show was pretty good, before she leaves to take a call. Backstage, Ikuto wishes Kokodo and Chiyuki good luck. When Kokodo catches up with Chiyuki, a flashback reveals how tense their collaboration initially was prior to the Gaika festival due to the rivalry. During this time, Kokodo agreed to Chiyuki's request to walk the runway in exchange for a favor. Back in the present, Kokodo's show begins where Chiyuki wears different outfits. After a while, Igarashi criticizes the presentation. However, she soon notices Chiyuki's aura. Kokodo then appears on stage as a model, and it is revealed that she wanted to make 2 more outfits, both of which are Igarashi suits. Seeing this causes Igarashi to be impressed. Afterwards, they receive a round of applause, and an emotional Chiyuki embraces and thanks Kokodo backstage. To is up next. To recalls Mai telling him that if he wants to start his own brand, he has to break her record of 52 inquiries at the Gaika festival. Meanwhile, Ikuto meets a buyer named Satomi Ichihara, who offers to buy a few of his designs. When it is To's turn, his collection features a harmonious display of both the ordinary and unordinary, and he receives a huge round of applause. The contestants then head backstage. After a while, the results of the top 10 are in. Kokodo wins first place, while Kaoru gets 7th place. Unfortunately for Ikuto, he finished in 11th place. Finally, To finished in last place after he withdrew. Later, Kanami Oguri, one of To's pattern makers, explains to Ikuto the real reason why To withdrew. This is followed up by Takeoka handing him a student application form. When Chiyuki and Ikuto meet up, she excitedly tells him she is signing an exclusive contract with a new magazine. After the Gaika festival, Kokodo heads to Paris. Chiyuki begins her modeling career, and Ikuto imparts on an internship at Afro One Daidi alongside To. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you at the next one.